males and children of all ages. Welcome to the Scale Model Outlaw. If it's your first time tuning in, we appreciate you. Hope you like what you see. And if you do, how about leave us a comment down there in the old comment section? You know what? Even if you don't like what you see, leave us a comment down there in the old comment section. Or how about one of those big old thumbs ups? That's right. We love those big old thumbs ups. Returning subscribers, guys and gals, we appreciate y'all so very much. Say it every time, because we mean it every time. Alright guys, so we're on to episode 3 of ACME or Bust. For those of you that are seeing this video, it's the first time in the series that you've seen, please go back in the library and check out the ACME or Bust episode 1, episode 2, and this is episode 3. Along the way, we've been working on a chassis that we're trying to get up underneath this pacer, because if you guys remember, we're trying to go from this to, and what a change that is. And again, I want to give a big old shout out to my buddy Tim Casper for the drawing, or the rendering I should say, of the orange pacer. We're going to try to make it get as close to that as we possibly can. So in the first 2 episodes, you saw where we were hacking and whacking on the interior tub, trying to make room for this chassis. Well, we have discovered that chassis is just not going to work for what we want it to work for. So here on episode 3, we actually switch over to the Viper chassis. So it should be pretty interesting. This part's going to be a lot of whacking up the Viper part of the chassis, not so much with the pacer part. But y'all stick around, watch it. And again, if you like what you see, leave me a comment down there. I've been getting a lot of, I know these videos tend to stretch on a little bit, and a lot of folks don't like long-winded videos, but they seem to be getting a positive response. So as long as you guys like them, we'll keep them coming. And we got some pretty good ideas coming up for you in the future. Maybe do some of these ACME or Bust videos with other builders that are doing ACME stuff. So maybe we can incorporate that into this series and see how y'all like it. But again, stick around, and as always, we'll see you on the other side of the video to close it up. But until then, y'all enjoy, and we'll see you on the backside. Alright, there it is, our awesome box art for our 76 Pacer X. Still the best looking car ever made. Don't care what anybody says. I can stare at that box all day long. Alright guys, welcome to episode 3. Yeah, we've been working on it, trying to get this Iceman chassis to work for us. It's a great chassis. It's just not for this application, or at least not for what I want to do with this application. I'll show you here in just a minute. We get the chassis on there, and then we put the tub in the body and get it lined up, and it just hangs down too low. It was just more than what I wanted. Nothing wrong with the chassis. Again, I can't say that enough. There's nothing wrong with that chassis. It just didn't work for what I wanted in this application. But that just means we get to use it somewhere else on something else. So we'll put it aside and save it for another build, man. But yeah, you see I put the tub in here, get it where it goes, get it lined up, and then put the chassis on there. And you'll see where the chassis hangs down. Now, my goal is to have this thing about 4 millimeters, no more than 5 millimeters off the ground. And if I tried to do it like that, that frame would be touching the ground. So we're going to have to scrap that idea and set it aside again. Use it on another build down the road. And we'll crack out the chassis out of the Viper and see if we can't make that one work for us. Now, this particular video, it's going to be all about whacking that chassis up. This is a really nice kit. I almost hate to use the chassis, but the fact is I probably never would build that kit anyway. But it's a really, really nice kit. It truly is. It's got a lot of cool parts in it. I have so far taken the chassis, which is right here, and the rear bumper, which is right there. There's a possibility that the rear bumper is going to end up on there too. But if you look at it when I line it up, the wheelbase on this is 100% accurate. I mean, it is perfect. I just got to make that fit in there. Now that little mini tub that you see in the back there, the little wheel tubs, that's actually a piece that comes off, but we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to go ahead and mark out what it is I'm going to cut out. Why am I cutting this out? So it'll squeeze up next to that tub just that much more. If you look, there's some contours in there. There's some plastic in there. Styrene in there. We're going to get that out. This chassis is just a little bit wide. Actually, it's a good bit wider than the Pacer. So we're going to scribe the sides, mark the sides a little bit and whittle it down a little bit at a time. But my main focus right now is to get this section out right here. I want all this to come out and expose just the frame. This is not frame material. I mean, I suppose technically it is because it's part of the tub, or part of the frame rather. But this would be the sheet metal part. The square steel, tube steel is still going to be there. I'm going to leave that Y section where the drive shaft runs down through. I'm going to leave that there because there's a tunnel in the interior. So I feel like the drive shaft will pass right down through there. But anyway, our first goal is to get that plastic out of there. I'm going to go ahead and use my Dremel with the cutting wheel on it. Now I'm going to tell you guys, with these Dremels, and especially that cutting wheel, be really, really careful. That thing can get away from you and tear up some stuff right now. You'll notice when I get to cutting that I'm not on that line, on that black line. I'm going to stay off of that black line just a little bit, because like this thing will get to cutting, and it doesn't just cut through it. A lot of times it melts through it. So if I'm on the inside of that black line, I've got room for a boo-boo if I lose control of it. And it also, I can come back and, like I said before, we'll creep up on it a little bit at a time. And just take our time with it, get it out of there. Get the heavies out. Once we get the heavies out, we can get our detailing tools out and start to see what it is we're after here. Now, there's two ways I use that Dremel for cutting. You can use that cutting wheel, and you can also use the sanding drum. This is a Despe cutter, a little photo etch saw, works really nice. This is the Despe tool for sanding tool, but I put a cleaner bit on it. But this is much easier and much safer. Well, it looks like the battery's going dead, but it's much easier and much safer with this to get up in there because it's not as powerful. It doesn't, it's a little bit easier. Actually, it's a lot easier to work with. You can get real close and still be in control, where with that Dremel, as powerful as it is, as fast as it spins, sometimes it can get away from you. A lot of times this Despe tool will do the job, or it'll bind up. See, just like right there, it'll get a bite of something and it'll bind up. So which I rather deal with a binding than cutting into something that I didn't want to cut into. You'll learn to work it, but these little carbide bits that go on there work really, really well, and they bite a little more than that little tool can handle. But again, I like that about this tool. I like that it's not as powerful, and that I can control it. It's much smaller, fits in your hand so well, and you can keep up with it. I mean, it too can get away from you, and you can get carried away with it, but for the most part, you should be able to handle it and do some work with it. And like I said, the idea now is to get those panels out of there, get it cleaned up, make it look right. We're going to do one side at a time. That way there, if I make a mistake on one side, and I only did it on one side, right? I'll eventually set it up underneath the tub, look at it, check it out, tweak it. I got my nippers out now. Yeah, I'm afraid of my nippers. I try not to use them because I get carried away with them and I end up cutting stuff off that I don't want to or didn't mean to. But there was a big chunk right there in that corner, and nippers were a perfect job for it. They work really well. Just be careful because it's so easy to get carried away with them. Back to our little Despe tool. Again, that's one of my favorite tools that I have, is that little Despe tool. It'll sand. You can put those carbide bits in it, and it can drill holes. It can cut. It can do all kinds of neat stuff. And like I said, it's powerful enough to do the job, but it's not so much that it's going to get away from you. and do something that you don't want it to. Ah, icky sticky sanding pads. Again, want to give my friend Ed from Ed's Hobbies and RC a shout out. Thank you for these icky sticky pads, man. These things are awesome. I love them. The sanding sticks. So, yeah, that's why we don't have nice things, Michael, because we throw it on the ground. But these things really clean up this chassis really, really well. But a good heavy-duty sanding stick when you can get it in there. And the smaller ones for the tight places, these things work great. No, I'm not really moving that fast. Obviously, we're in fast forward. But these things really do the work. And you'll see where, again, I'm marking it out. I got some more stuff to cut out of there to try to make this tub fit in there. Right there's got to come out. Like I said, I want this chassis to be as flat as I can possibly make it. So we were talking about the drum earlier. The cut and wheel works great. The drum's a little easier to control. It'll still get in there and do the job, and it still can get away from you. But it's a little bit easier to control. You can see it a little better. It, too, will burn as much as it tries to cut. So be careful with it and get in there. I always leave it a little high where I can come in with my sandpaper or my knife or whatever. But there was a big gob of plastic right there on that corner that was part of the old structure that's got to come out. So I knew that sanding barrel, I'd be able to get in there and get it with that and be able to control it and get some of that out of there. But you'll notice, especially with the sanding barrel, it tends to more burn its way through than it really cuts its way through. So it'll leave a lot of slag behind. I like to, if it gets the slag and I can't see what I'm doing, I'll stop, pick the slag off, start over. It may take a little longer, but you don't end up cutting into something you didn't want to cut into. And again, always leave it just a little high with these hog cutting machines is what I'll call them. Even the Despe tool, leave it just a little bit high. And give you something to sand down and get it smooth. There I go with my nippers again. And like I said, I love my nippers, but I make my own self nervous when I've cut so much things that I didn't want to cut with those, just because everything's going the way you want it to go, and it's plastics are flying everywhere, and you're getting it done. But you can get carried away with those too. But again, I try to leave everything high and bring it down with sandpaper where I can bring it down nice and slow, control it. All right, so we want to take the interior tub and lay it up there and see how well it fits, right? This is where you'll see where we take the mini tub off. I just had this sitting on there, but the friction fits so well, I thought I was going to have to, break it to get it off. It was actually on there pretty good. But we get that mini tub off of there and get that chassis up there where we can really start looking at it and get a good picture of what it's going to look like. Alright, there it is. You see how flat that is compared to the other chassis that's going to be hanging down? That thing fits up in there nice and tight. It ain't perfect yet. We still got some whittling to do. But there you go. You see the difference? It's 4 or 5 millimeters difference there. So that makes a big difference on how I want it to sit. And like I said, this chassis is pretty cool. And I like the way it's set up. But we're gonna have to definitely do some serious modification because it's wider. The shock system for the rear with the mini tubs is a lot going on there that we got to figure out. But if you look at it, it's crooked on the side at the hole in because it's fitting tighter down. So I'm going to end up doing both sides, but I'm just trying to see what's hitting, what's touching, what I can take out to make more room to make that thing sit flatter and flatter and flatter and get it down as flat as I can possibly get it to that tub. There ends up being a pin in the center of that skid. And we take that pin out. That helps us out a bunch. Gets it a little bit lower. And then there it gets it in there. Get in there and grind that stuff off of there. sometimes when you get it down like that and you get a little closer, you can get back in there with your tool. Just be careful, man. That thing can really hog out some material, and will cut out more than you want really quick. Looks like I'm going a million miles an hour because I got it on fast forward, but this was about an hour and 10 minutes worth of this part of the video that I condensed down. Again, trying to keep them around 30 minutes if I can. If I can still be informative, show you what I'm doing, and keep them about 30 minutes, I think that's a good time for a video. I usually do them for about 20. Analytics says after about 10 or 15 minutes, people are moving on, but hopefully we can hold y'all's attention for 30 minutes and maybe learn something along the way. Again, I don't proclaim to be the best at this. Heck, I got a lot of learning to do, but I enjoy doing it, and this is how I do it. And I've had some decent luck, right? I ain't the best there is, best there was, best there ever will be, but I definitely enjoy doing it. Got our hobby knife out here. Going to use that to help trim up, get close to these edges, get everything taken out. Obviously, that big stick is too big to fit in there, so I'm going to try to get as much as I can with my hobby knife. And here before too long, I'll have my icky sticky twigs, and we'll get them. There they are right there. Big shout out to Ed. So I get my icky sticky twig in there. Now we can move some material, get it cleaned up, bring it down just a little bit at a time. We're going to end up doing both sides. But like I said, I like to do one side at a time. So if I make a mistake on one side, I don't make the same mistake on the other. Oh, there goes that knob I was telling you about. We'll sand that down flat, make that disappear. Again, trying to get this thing as tight to that tub as I possibly can get it. And honestly, whenever we go to make the aluminum plates for it, the flatter it is and the squarer it is, the easier it is to make the plate. See, now there you go. You're getting an idea of why we had to take that center out, because of those pieces that are there. But look, that thing is getting really, really close to being flat with the bottom of that tub. And that fray tail is what we're looking for, just to be close like that. All right, I think they're looking pretty good right now. Yeah, that's our putty that we put in there. We're going to have to go out and take that back out and start over. No big deal. We cut it out. We put the putty in there, and now we'll just take our Dremel or our Despay tool, clean it out, put some putty back in there, and get it cleaned up from that side. I may even just clean it up a little bit and see if I can get away with it. If the existing chassis covers the holes, I may just clean up there on the inside of the floor pan, and if I can hide it with some flocking. It's up under the dash, which we knew that anyway, but it's up under the dash. So if I can hide it with some flocking, I may just, clean it up best I can, and then put the flocking on it and be done. Because it's supposed to be a pro touring car, so it is going to have an interior. If you've been watching since the beginning, you'll remember the audio system that I put into the first one. I may have some audio in this one, but not like I did the last one. I had big old speakers, and the whole back deck was full of speakers and amps, and I got a little carried away with that. So this one may have a little bit of a sound system, something to look at, but nothing like the other one. All right, got it cleaned up where I can look at it, see if I'm happy with it. Look at it again, get things to fit up in there. Really getting close, man. Really getting close. Again, that chassis is wider than it needs to be. So when we're all said and done, that Y section right there is where it's going to be. And again, I don't know if I can catch it, but the tunnel that's already molded into the interior is just enough to where I should be able to slide the drive shaft between that plate and through that hump, and be able to poke it out the rear end. Now the rear end on this is an independent rear end, so the chunk itself actually stays in place, and then the A-arms control the suspension, it'll help the suspension. And then it's got axle shafts like a front wheel drive, like a CV joint type axle shaft. So once I put the drive shaft in place, even if it's tucked up behind that skid plate, it's not like the drive shaft has to travel with the suspension. It all stays stationary, and everything outside of the chunk or rear end differential is going to be what moves around. That's the joys of an independent suspension, especially in the rear. All right, well, we're gaining on it. Looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and cut the other side out, make it match, clean it up. And that'll be the end of episode 3. We've switched over now to the Viper chassis. And like I said, it's more of the same. Going to cut it out with that cutting wheel. Go in there and clean it up. Get the heavies out first. Get it cleaned up. Make it look good. Get that thing as tight up underneath there as we can get it. Yep, looks like the battery's going dead on the Dremel, so it's going to be a good place to stop. Cut it out with my nippers just because. Be done with it. Get it out of the way. Charge up everything, because now the desk bay's dead, the Dremel's dead. Time to get everything cleaned up and get them things charged up and come back for episode number 4 and start all over again. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys on episode 4. All right, so there you have it, episode 3. As you can see, working on that Viper chassis, it's a lot closer to the tub. So, like we talked about, just need that thing to be as flat as it can be, and that was a really good candidate. Had to whack some of that stuff out of the middle of it to make the tub fit, like we talked about, but I think this is going to be pretty awesome. I like the idea of having this chassis and being able to work it a little bit. The wheelbase is perfect. The tub's going to be a little bit more fun. Next episode, you'll see where we cut the little mini tubs out for it. That turns into a little bit of a challenge, but y'all have to stick around next week to see that. But it's a really good time. Having a lot of fun with this. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying it. Guys and gals are enjoying it. Please leave me a comment down there and let me know. If there's something in particular that you'd like to see. I did a lot of fast forwarding on this one. Trying to keep them in that 20 to 25 minute range, but yet still be informative without overdoing it. Been watching the analytics, and after about 10 or 15 minutes, it falls off really bad. So trying to appease everybody, but at the same time get some content out there that gets across the board. The whole idea is to give you guys what you're looking for. Otherwise, nobody tunes in, and then I'm doing this just for me. Which I'd do it just for me, but I like for you guys to be able to enjoy it as well. All right, y'all, it's the Sunday before Thanksgiving, so I probably won't see you all except for live tonight. I may not see you all, so I wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. Please remember, or please enjoy your time with your family and your friends and your time off from work, because Lord knows I'll be taking my time off from work. But enjoy it, y'all. God bless. Take care. Be kind to others. Be safe. And keep on modeling.